During this pandemic, we've all watched as restaurants have been forced to close and others are barely hanging on. So what do restaurants that are struggling need to do to survive over the next several months and even longer? We're joined by Matt Vanini. He is the president and CEO of Restaurant Solutions. Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good. It's good to see you. So your job with Restaurant Solutions is you work with restaurants to try to help them survive, and you are experiencing a different time as everyone else is. So I'm sure your advice has changed over time. But if you're a restaurant owner trying to hang on, where do you even begin these days?
Well, I think for most small and independent restaurants, you have to begin with what you know. And what we all know as restaurateurs is that at some point in our careers, we opened our businesses. And that experience of the unknown, we didn't have a brand awareness yet. We didn't have any sales history. So we were going on with just our faith and our gut and our concept. And that experience we need to draw from in order to move forward through the many changes that the pandemic has dealt us.
So let's give some advice, because you sent us a list of tips. And the first one, let's take a look. It begins with determining a minimum sales and cost structure to stay afloat. Walk us through these.
Yeah, it sounds big, but it's actually quite simple. In the absence of knowing the consistency of your sales, you have to go back and you have to look at the revenue that's generated per seat. Traditionally, we've done this by square foot. It doesn't work that way now, and we've got to boil it down to how much money each seat can make in the business, because with the ever-changing regulations, whether it's a 50% reduction or a 50-person max, we have to understand what each guest can generate from revenue for that one seat. And that buys us freedom to know whether or not we're going to take a blended approach, which means, hey, I'm going to do a little bit of in-room dining. I'm also going to do some third-party DoorDash, Grubhub, marketplace facilitators, or I'm going to focus on just pickup and to go. Understanding how much revenue I can get off of every one of those seats helps us understand what we're not going to get from those seats, so that we can focus on what strategy is going to work best for not only ourselves, but our guests. What do they expect from us? They're used to a certain menu. And how can we tweak our menus so that we can be most successful for our guests as well? It's
really about becoming creative, right? Okay, let's look at your next set of tips. Here we go. So you say make a decision, which you've actually already probably spoke towards, to close dining room and move to online models. This was something a lot of restaurants did when we were still in the early stages of this pandemic, where they were not allowed to have people inside or outside. This is what happened, right?
Exactly. And you know, when you take fine dining restaurants, you take full service restaurants, and suddenly you eliminate their ambiance, it leaves people in a lurch. They didn't really understand, oh my gosh, how am I still going to get my food to the guest? And a lot of them got creative. They really stepped up their to-go games. And I think that's most critical too, is think about the to-go and think about delivery as an extension of your business, because that's what it is. It's a lifeline to normalcy for your guests. If they're used to going to your restaurant for their favorite meal, bring that meal to the guest and deliver it in packaging that really represents your brand. And people have done, and operators have done, such a magnificent job with doing that.
You know, one of the things I try to take advantage of, because we heard a lot of these delivery services were taking advantage of these restaurants that were struggling to begin with. So I remember trying to just call the restaurant and either going to pick it up or see if they had their own delivery. Is that something that's important for the restaurant owners as well, as we've heard that there have been issues with these delivery services?
The issues are all centered around the pricing. You know, what are they being charged to actually perform the services of delivery? And I would encourage every operator right now, and this is a global, statement, is look at every one of your costs and look at the costs and look at the fine print in the contracts. And if a delivery service is going to perform surge pricing, address that up front. But most notably, if you don't understand, find somebody who is used to looking at those things, just like leases, just like any major contracts that you have. Work with a third party, work with somebody who might understand it a little bit better than you do, and everybody's willing to come together. So as far as the delivery services go, they're a necessity for some organizations. Some individuals have a way of delivering product. Find out what's best for you, and then make sure that you read the fine print.
Well, Matt, I hope they're listening, because Chicago is the best restaurant city in the country, and we want all of these places that we love so much to stay open. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for your time this morning.
Okay, have a great day.
You as well.
We'll be right back.